We'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
it was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wish I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, hey, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like, he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCannon's still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers at wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Welcome back into the Buccateers podcast. We got a great one on our hands today. Obviously, J-Lo and the great Bucs by 30. Our guy Zach in the house per usual, ready to rock and roll. Zach's got a great hat on, as does J-Lo. So good stuff there, fellas. And we got very good friend of the program's been on the show before. We've been on his show as well before. Very fun time per usual with the fellas from the Talking Grit podcast, the Detroit Lions podcast, that is. And this is going to be an Oklahoma slobber knocker, as the old Jim Ross would say. The battle of the two best teams in the NFC, in my opinion, right here on our hands. Monday Night Football, Detroit, Tampa Bay in Detroit. Seems like a yearly thing at this point, but without further ado, the great Jason from the great Talking Grit is joining us. Jason, how the hell you doing, brother? Welcome back.
I am doing great. Hanging out with you guys. Got an awesome game coming up on Monday. Get to meet Zach for the first time. I'm really intimidated by his background there. I am not as much of a fan as him, apparently. He's got like his retirement's like right behind him. Like he could sell all that and retire, but geez, that's awesome. Thanks for having me back on Tampa.
Yeah, always a good time, my friend, with you. I'm excited to talk about your guys' season at this point. It's a big matchup on Monday, but you're at Ford Field, so it might be a little noisy back there. We might have to get some noise dimmers out there. But Zach, tell Jason what Bucs GM Jason Light actually calls your little studio there, my friend.
I got a chance to meet Jason Light, and he lovingly referred to me as a psycho. So the basement has been dubbed the Psych Ward in honor of Jason Light.
So we got Zach in the psych ward, Jason at Ford Field per usual. We got Pepin Steppin saying happy 5-1. Virgin Boys, can you guys ask him how much it will hurt to not have Branch on Monday? Love his game. And Jason, we'll get right to it, obviously. Branch, a big rookie from a few years back, is probably going to miss, depending on appeal, obviously, Juju Smith and him. I didn't even see it. I had the game off by then until it hit Twitter and the videos circulated and the memes came out. That's kind of when this thing really popped off and circulated, but potentially big loss for the Lions on Monday there, Jason, defensively.
Yeah, I mean, he's arguably our second best defender behind Aiden Hutchinson, and the way the Lions deploy him, he's so multiple. He play nickel, he plays safety, just free roaming. He's kind of like he could play. I mean, you could play linebacker. Essentially, that's what they have him playing. Sometimes at safety, they could line him up wherever. So it's going to be a big miss. However, I will say that he's been banged up. It was questionable whether he was going to play last week. You know, he was not playing at his best versus Kansas City. So it's not like we'd be missing 100% Branch. Obviously, I want him on the field. We have our bye week after you guys. So if at the worst, he's going to get 2 weeks to rest up and be, fully rested for the second half of the schedule.
Yeah, definitely. And huge piece. And I'm a big fan of his. His game is great. He's one of the up and coming young defensive, to me, playmakers in this football league, and never a great sign. But both these teams are losing people left and right for whatever reason it might seem. And Zach, it's always a matchup where it seems like Lions and Bucs, whether it's suspension, health, or whatever, are just never 100% when these two go toe to toe.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't got to see both of them at their full strength face off yet. So, we don't know what that's going to look like, if we'll ever get to see that, especially with the current rosters. But it's always a tough game. It's always a hard fought battle between the two. I will say that I think Brian Branch kind of encapsulated the NFL fan base as a whole when it took a shot at the Kansas City Chiefs. So, as much as I hate for him to not be in the game, it's kind of hard to be mad at it, because I think at one point in time we've wanted to punch the Chiefs as a whole, not a specific player, but as a whole.
I thought Juju made a TikTok he didn't like or something like that. Maybe, he went to the. But yeah, I mean, that was just crazy, J-Lo. Quickly, thoughts on that. And also Bucs Nation saying shout out to J-Lo. Met him earlier. That was quick. So J-Lo, there you go. You got a fan. We also got Richard saying happy first place Tuesday. Pepin Steppin giving his score. And Trisha Scott, we do love our lady listeners. Thanks for listening, Trisha. But J-Lo, there you go. Bucs Nation shouts you out, brother.
No, shout out to him, man. It's good to meet you, man. I always enjoy meeting, Bucs fans, talk about ball while waiting in line to meet Jamel Dean. But I will say Brian Branch being out, that's really hard for the Lions. I was a big fan of his game as well, come out of college. I know the Bucs looked at him a little bit as well. I mean, fortunately, next man up mentality. We'll see how good the coaching staff is on both sides, because I think both teams got good coaching staffs. And it'll be interesting on Monday night, see who plays and who doesn't.
We are live on the Buccateers with our guy Jason from the Talking Grit podcast. Him and Jacob do a great job over there. We're going to be collabing all week, pretty much these next 6 days or so. I'm going to be on their show. He's going to be on here again, as well as Jacob. I do have Talking Grit's Twitter and Spotify linked in the description below. If you guys ever want the best Detroit podcast in the business, go on, listen to our guys Jason, Jacob, and if you're watching us on YouTube right now, hit that like button, subscribe button, turn that notification bell on. You'll never miss the Buccateers. We always love having collabs and guests on. And Jason, it's time to kind of give your 2 cents on Detroit season update and your guys' update as a podcast, brother. How have things been for not only your show, but the Lions in general? Are you happy with 4-2 to this point, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I would have certainly liked to be 5-1 coming in, both of us being 5-1 going in. That would be awesome. Just not in the cards on Sunday night for multitude of reasons. Number one, the Chiefs outplayed us. I will say that. Number two, Chiefs didn't have any penalties. And just like Zach was alluding to earlier, we want to, there's some delusional Chiefs fans out there that don't seem to understand the grass of the situation, that the power that they yield with Patrick Mahomes back there. But regardless, Lions didn't play well enough. I'm happy with 4-2. We are quite injured. I mean, last year our defensive line was decimated. This year it's our secondary, and now with Branch being suspended, that takes us down another notch. Fortunately for us this year, we're going to be getting most of those guys back, and it's looking like a strong indicator. Dan Campbell said today after the bye week, we're going to start looking at getting some of our reinforcements back. One guy that I hope we are getting back for the Bucs game that's been out from a torn ACL last year is Aleem McNeil. Now he's been so he had torn ACL. We activated him, or we brought him up. He was on the PUP list, and he was in practice for 2 weeks. Was full practice last week. They decided to hold him out. I'm wondering if they're going to get him some snaps in this game, and then we had the bye week after. That'll give him 2 weeks to recover, and then we'll get him back. So that is a good sign for us. I don't wish, like Zach said, I don't wish injuries on any of these teams, and I want to see these teams at full strength, because having your receiving core against our full strength secondary and line, it would be a phenomenal game. I mean, you treat America on Monday night prime time, it would have been awesome. I still think it's going to be fun. I still think these are two very well coached teams. The guys that they have in next man up, they will play well, and it'll still be a good game. I just think it is kind of fortunate that our injuries are lining up. Like, it's your wide receivers and our secondary. So, it's kind of more even balance. At least, your offensive line's fine, and defensive line for us is healthy. So it'll be interesting. But we get to see Baker, and I'm a big fan of Baker. So I hope he doesn't play too well on Monday, but I am a fan of watching him.
Yeah, Baker is incredible, and so is Goff. These were kind of two guys at one point that people were doubting, right? People kind of didn't have faith in him, saying, hey, the Rams are smart moving on from Goff, saying, hey, nobody wants Baker. And then these two end up being, to me, some of the cream of the crop of the NFC, which is really saying something, because we've seen it this season so far. As Cleve and me joined this, saying, fellows, Bucs and Colts lead their conference, Bucs, Grays, Bolts joining us. Detroit is trash. No, the Lions are a really good football team. I must say that. And I will say, to me, again, I know I said it last week, but after watching last week's game and Sunday night's game, I think this is truly the battle of the best two teams in the NFC. And Zach, kind of piggybacking off what Jason said about the Lions to this point, and kind of saying what I'm going to say here, this is a game where, it's kind of funny as well, right? Sunday night, Chiefs had no penalties week before. They had a ton of them. All of a sudden, Mahomes is ahead of Baker Mayfield somehow in the MVP odds. But to me, these are the true battles. This is a true test. This is a game that's really going to, no pun intended, get the grit out of these football teams, right?
Absolutely. And I know this isn't a Bash the Chiefs podcast, but that might be something we want to start. We can talk about that off the air. But
I'm in.
The Chiefs just don't pass the smell test. I mean, that's what gives brand to the conspiracy theorist out there. The pass interference call on Kelsey, right? He's running the route, the ball's overthrown. He turns, looks at the ref, puts his hand out, flag comes out. There was a little bit of contact on the route much earlier in that route before it even comes on screen. So it's like, I know there's a reaction time delay from, when you see something to when you react, but not that much. It just makes it look really bad. And then all of the false starts on the tackle, Jennings. I mean, it's every week. The block in the back, Juju on Branch. Like, how these are things that if we can see them from our living room, they should be able to see them on the field. So it just makes that narrative so much more, and it just makes you despise that team that much more. Also, when you factor in, like, it is kind of hard to push Mahomes in the MVP race if they're 2-4 as opposed to 3-3. So those are all the kind of things that you think about when you're watching the Chiefs. But it's unfortunate that we have all these injuries. I was really hoping at some point this year to get to see Mike and Chris and Abuka and McMillan all on the field at the same time. Hopefully we get to see that after the bye. I think we're in the same boat as the Lions. We're going to get a lot healthier after the bye, and we just got to get there. But I'm looking forward to this one. It's always a good time when we play the Lions, and my favorite non-Buck player is Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I enjoy watching him. That kid is special. So you guys have a good one in St. Brown.
You have your own. You have your own Amon-Ra. You have Abuka is going to be. I wanted him in the draft, even though we didn't need him, because he's going to be Amon-Ra. You guys got lucky there.
Yeah, the two special wide receivers, and if he's anything like Amon-Ra, wow, that would be incredible. Praise the sun god. He is a beast, St. Brown, and really, week after week, he never fails to seem to amaze me. It seems like when the Lions are needing a big play, and it's like, oh, okay, St. Brown's probably double, triple team. He's still getting open, and we've seen it in Raymond James where he puts defenders on ice skates. I remember a couple of years back, he juked about pretty much the whole defense out and ended up scoring a touchdown. So he's going to be an incredibly hard one to stop. He is really fearful. Cleve and me went to Lions for a wrestling event 2 years ago, and it's really nice and clean in there. Yeah, Ford Field is incredible, and I will say the Detroit setup gets a bad rap, but it's really nice down there. It is. I will say the area I was in, at least, Jason, the Tin Roof area right across from Tigers Ballpark and Ford Field. It's nice over there. I have nothing bad to say about it.
It's changed. If you haven't been there in the last, I'd say 10 years, not that it was terrible before, but it's a really, really nice area. The Little Caesars is right across the street. So I don't know when you were there, Tampa, but now the basketball hockey arena is right across the street. So all four teams play within basically 2 blocks of each other. It's amazing.
That would be incredible. I remember a couple years ago, I believe when the Bucs were playing Detroit, Lightning were in town as well, or something along those lines, and some Bucs fans did a doubleheader down there for the Lightning, Red Wings, and the Bucs Lions, and they had nothing but great things to say. I loved it down there. Couple nice casinos as well, if that's your thing, but hey, really good stuff. I'm a Detroit fan, and it's a pond skipping a jump away from me. I think it's only like a 4-hour drive. But J-Lo, kind of thoughts on these injuries? As Jason alluded to, maybe a Lions defender coming back last week, or this week I should say, and the Bucs are used to that, as San Fran had an injured defender come back last week against them as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, injuries suck, man. Unfortunately, it's part of the game. Players are going to get injured, and you're just going to go with the next man up mentality, like I mentioned earlier. To me, it's a fair balance. Your guys are down on DBs, we're down on receivers, so I think it's a pretty fair amount, when it comes to injury-wise, depending on how the game's going to go. I just think no matter what, as long as number 6 is out there, he's going to give us the best chance to win the football game, no matter who he's throwing the ball to, whether it's wide receiver 7, 8, 9, 10, he's still going to make plays. And then, of course, Jared Goff, I mean, the guy's a stud, man. He picks apart our defense all the time. I hate playing him, but I love watching him play when he's not playing us. So, to me, injury-wise, it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a game to watch, probably game of the year, if you want to be honest.
Yeah, the great JT Olson. He does some great covering and writing for Bucs Report. Says Bucs vs. Lions is my favorite game of the year. Get to talk smack to all my friends as a Metro Detroit native. Yeah, Jason, do you got any Bucs fans in your neck of the woods? I know it's probably slim pickings around there.
No, I don't have any around. But I will say that I have family that live in Florida, and they're all Bucs fans. So I do get to talk a little smack with them. We have a lot of history, our franchises, right? We're former division mates, and now I know you're going to get to it, but a rivalry is brewing between these two teams, and the way they're built, the culture, with the coaches, a lot of similarities here. And you alluded to it earlier. Goff and Baker Mayfield, while they may appear to be two different quarterbacks, have a lot of similarities as far as grit. Leadership qualities and all that. So it's always a great matchup.
It's a really fun time when these two teams go toe to toe. It truly, as you said earlier, greatly coached games as well, usually, right? You get Todd Bowles, Dan Campbell, and I'm not gonna lie, at first I was one of those guys when Dan Campbell first went to the Lions and they were losing. I'm like, is this shit gonna work? Is he gonna be the man to take? And then he proved me wrong. He proved me wrong right away, and he sustained. And seems like whoever his assistants are or players are, he just always has the Lions ready to roll. And Jason, you guys did hire an assistant away from the Buccaneers, Kacey Rodgers, former Buccaneers run game coordinator and defensive line coach. How is he fitting in over there? And as well, linebacker Grant Stord. You got a couple of former Bucs players and coaches over there. Stord was a guy here, Mr. Irrelevant in the draft, gave you everything he's got. He's the definition of grit. I think I told you something along those lines when you guys signed him, that he's one of those players you'll love. And then Kacey Rodgers, he's a really cool guy too. I'm a big fan of his as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to get Kacey Rodgers. We lost Terrell Williams. He went over with Vrabel over in the Patriots. He became their defensive coordinator. And to get someone like Kacey Rodgers, I was shocked that he left Todd Bowles, to be honest with you, because they were tight. And I'm not sure, what led to that. But maybe it's working with Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know, but he's fit right in. Aiden Hutchinson's had a different defensive line coach every year that he's been with us, and they seem to keep getting better and better. So hopefully Kacey sticks with us. And he's been good so far.
Yeah, my dad texted in Kacey Rodgers. We miss him. How's he doing? So there you go. That sums up how he's doing. He's a cool dude, Zach. Whenever Kacey was in the pressers for the Bucs every other week, because the Bucs rotate with their co-coordinators weekly. 1 week it's Foot, 1 week it's Kacey. Well, now Edwards instead of Kacey. But Zach, Grant Stord and Kacey Rodgers, two cool dudes. Cleveland me saying love Stord. He's had 18 tackles in a game last year for my Colts. Yeah, he was like the Tasmanian devil last year, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the kind of guys that you need. We talk about it on here all the time. Like, you need those Cliff Livingston guys, right? That sixth man off the bench that just brings that tenacity. And that's what Stewart brings on special teams. And, man, we could really use that dude right now because our special teams is atrocious at times. But he's one of those guys that, you need, and he's just like, spark plug on any, on the special teams, or he gets in on defense a little bit.
Yeah, Dan Campbell is an awesome coach, says our guy, Richard T. We do have a question for our guy, Jason, before we get to J-Lo and his thoughts on all this. Jason, Cleveland me ask, when Bears play Lions, how much love-hate is there for Ben Johnson from a fan perspective? I know it's only been one battle of the two so far, but being a Lions guy, what say you about Ben Johnson?
I will tell you, the love went away as soon as he went in division. His name up here is Benedict Johnson. He's a traitor. I didn't necessarily feel as strongly about that, but then as his the pressers and everything that was saying, I started to hate him more and more. And then up until the Packers got Micah, he was enemy number one. And then all of a sudden, Green Bay got Micah and all that went away. Now, when he came back to Detroit, and that was week 2, we played the Bears and we blew them out. There was a not so friendly chant at the end of the game. So I think Detroit's already, we scored 52 at that point. At that, we were like, oh, our offense is going to be fine. So we really don't need this guy anymore. But yeah, Bears have won 3 in a row now. I think, they're turning things around a little bit. We'll see how they do. I thought AG was going to be the better coach, and I still think he is over Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn I'm talking about, but it's not proving that way early on, but we'll see how it goes. AG's got a lot more work to do changing culture in New York.
Yeah, we've seen several successful coaches take some time changing the culture a little bit. Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, I don't think won a game for quite some time. You look around at some of the other coaches who got hired off the grip, and it's a pretty hard task. Aaron Glenn, I think he'll have his time if the Jets give it to him, right? This league is too damn fragile nowadays and rip the Band-Aid off way too soon, seemingly. But J-Lo, as he kind of summed up Ben Johnson, as Jason said some wise words on Ben Johnson, kind of sounds like Bucs fans and Liam Cohen a little bit, as Liam Cohen skedaddled out of town and, went to the Sunshine State across the pond in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that sucked, man. That really sucked how that played out. I didn't see that coming. Especially when he committed to stay with us, and all of a sudden, like within 24-hour span, everything changed. And same thing with Dave Canales. I mean that kind of hurt me that he went to a division rival. But the Liam Cohen one was definitely the one where fans were not happy and they were totally going off to where his own wife went on social media trying to defend her husband. So yeah, that was just some bad blood there. I mean, he's doing pretty well in Jacksonville right now, but I still got some a little hatred toward him, the way about it he did. He should have just been more upfront, you know what I mean? If he just would have been more upfront, then probably wouldn't have been as mad. But yeah, I'm still mad at the bastard, so whatever. Go enjoy Jacksonville.
You mean Duval, as Jimmy says,
God.
2 words.
Oh.
2 words for the pod today, bear down, taking back the North. You guys are making good strides, but you still got Detroit, you still got Green Bay, you still got Minnesota. It's a tough climb, and to me, that's really turning into the best or one of the best divisions in football right in front of our very eyes. Jason, if you had to pick out of the fellow teams in your division, which are you most afraid of? Is it the Packers after getting Micah Parsons?
Yes and no. Minnesota, if they could get stuff situated, Kevin O'Connell, I think, is a great coach, and that's what scares me about them. Matt LaFleur, I don't really have faith in as a Green Bay coach. He coaches scared. I know that they just totally whipped our butts week 1. So I don't really have that much to back me up. But I'd say Packers because of the Micah Parsons stuff. But if the Vikings were fully healthy, Kevin O'Connell's and that scared me. I still don't think the Bears are going to. I mean, we kicked the Bears, but I'm not that worried about them. Maybe not this year, but they might continue to grow. Swift just blew the Commanders up last night. I don't know. That was old vintage Lions, DeAndre Swift last night. I haven't seen that in a long time. So I don't know what happened there, but I was hoping the Commanders pulled that out.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to our friends at the Command This Pod about what the heck's going on with I mean, they're 3-3, but they've had an up and down year so far. I think they'll still be there in the end. Their division has gotten more, interestingly competitive. Giants are seemingly, you never know what they beat the Chargers, they lose to the Saints, and then, oh, by the way, we'll beat the Eagles. So it's like, you never know in this league, and it's truly a week-to-week league. I mean, one week the Eagles are 4-0 or whatever it is, and they're returning to the Super Bowl guaranteed, and now everyone's like, oh my God, you could see the walls tumbling down. And same thing with our teams, right? We win one game, we lose one game, and things change. But Lions Bucs is going to be incredible, as our guy Bucs Nation keeps joining us. Neil L saying, what up, Neil? How the hell you doing? I'm not sold on the Bears quite yet. Our guy David B says, I don't like Caleb Williams and don't trust him as a person, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, he does have a lot of business endeavors. You never know how much his heart's in football, but for now, he's 3-2, winning games. So there you go, 3-2 quarterback in the football league. Could you imagine Jags ain't gonna make it? I'm not too worried about that. They're peaking early, if you ask me. Jacksonville offense still hasn't clicked, not even what Bucs offense was last season. Commanders just aren't as good. But we talked about Kacey Rodgers, Grant Store a little bit. Now Pop's texting another question for Jason. Out of the 2 coordinators you guys lost over there, which one do you think Lions fans miss the most, and which one do you think has the most impact? I think a lot of people would say Jason, just because Ben Johnson's a bigger name, perhaps him, but Dan Campbell's an offensive guy, so maybe it's a defensive mind in Aaron Glenn. But what say you in Detroit?
So as of right now, I am very happy with both coordinator picks. I think it's becoming more and more apparent that Dan Campbell had his fingerprint on this offense more than people wanted to give him credit for. I think there's still some argument about our offense, not some of the play calling. We're maybe not using Dave Montgomery as much. We're using Gibbs too much, even though last year people wanted that. So people argue about whatever. So, but as far as our defense, I mean, when we shut Lamar down and sacked him 7 times, that turned a lot of people's eyes, opened a lot of people's eyes to what Calvin Shepard, our new defensive coordinator. I knew he was going to be awesome. Even just to have in the meetings and talk, like the guy, like you want to run through a wall for Dan Campbell, you want to run through 2 walls for Calvin Shepard. He is just like intense, great football mind. I have a feeling that he's going to be a head coach in the near future, and so it's hard to it's a week to week thing. Whatever fails the week before, then we're going to blame it on the coordinators. The national perspective is that all of a sudden we lost both coordinators and we weren't going to be able to do anything. I thought we kind of upgraded on both ends, to be honest with you, when we did it. I'm happy with what's going on, but I think it's like a week to week thing. You look at, everyone was like, oh, we're not going to do very well. But look at the new coordinator in the Eagles. He's the one that's the offensive coordinator. They can't move the ball. So you never know until the games are played, they're played on the field. That's when the narrative should be made, not in the off season.
Exactly. And then it's like, you win one game or the Bears win one and it's Ben Johnson's a genius, and they lose one and it's, damn it, we should have hired McCarthy, right? So it is a week-to-week league. Exactly. Calvin Shepard, I was really impressed and intrigued with that hire because I was very familiar with him at LSU, very familiar when he went to the Bills, spent time with the Colts, obviously ended with the Lions. That's kind of how he got his foot in the door with Detroit. But I think he's going to be a head coach one day as well. He's going to get his, you've seen some young, vibrant defensive minds kind of change the game lately. Look at what Seattle's doing, Houston's doing over there, right? There's no shame in what Calvin Shepard might bring to a team. I know all you hear is offense. But Zach, speaking of such, we kind of talked about Tampa guys going to Detroit. We had a big Detroit guy who came to Tampa make a big play last week. And Kendall Vildor, Zach, he's kind of, baby stepping, but being effective of late, past couple games, being active, and now he's making plays. I think he's really entrenching himself as a nice step piece here in Tampa.
Yeah, it's definitely an upgrade over some of the guys that we had to trot out there last year at corner. The only thing I would say about that is I don't know what happened to his legs after he got that interception, man. It was like when your uncle has too much to drink at the barbecue. I mean, he catches it, he falls down, he tries to get up, he falls back down, he tries to get up, can't even get up, falls back down. Then they show him on the sideline with that big grin on his face, like, I just blew a chance at a pick six. But yeah, I think I like the dude. I think, he comes from that, that Detroit hard-nosed background. You can really tell that he has that coaching in him from Dan Campbell. So it's a good addition. I think there's a lot of parallels between these two franchises of late. And it's nice to see. And I think that's why those games are always such a fun spectacle to watch, because they're so similar.
And speaking of our guy, Kindle Vildor, he did like the tweet. He might be watching right now because he did like the tweet saying we're on live tonight. So there we go. Maybe Vildor's tuned in. I've seen on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. He did like our tweet saying we are going live tonight. So if you are watching, awesome stuff there. And he had fun with that, Zach. He kind of took the highlight clip, quote tweeted it, and said, "Who's selling new cleats?" with an eye roll emoji and a laughing emoji. So Jason, I know I asked you about him when we brought him in. Is this kind of what you expected? A gritty player who makes a play here and there and, kind of just fits in nicely as a depth piece / special teamer?
Yeah, he fell out of favor with a lot of fans when in the San Francisco game, when he basically dropped an interception, went off his face mask, and then Ayuk caught it. It was kind of a turning point in that game. I didn't look at it like that. It's just a freak play that happened. I kind of missed him. I mean, right now we're so short on cornerback. I really wish we had him back. But there was a lot of people that were saying good riddance, but I was not one of those guys. And it's not just because Vildor might be watching. If he is, tune here. But Jacob was not a huge fan of Vildor. He was not sad at all when he left. I, on the other hand, he provided good depth. He's a tough, gritty player, and that's what both of our teams are about, right?
Exactly. We are grit. Well, we are live with Talking Grit, I'll say that. But we are gritty too here on the Buccateers, and we like to show our grit. And if you're tuning into the Buccateers or Talking Grit this week, give both channels a follow, whatever platform you're listening on. We did link Jason and his podcast in the description on Spotify and Twitter. So Bucs fans, make sure you keep up with them on the best Detroit talk in town, the best Lions coverage. We always like to keep up with our opponents, and as Jason alluded to, old rivals. Everybody forgets the old NFC Central days. And, you know, I still have my division champ shirt from the 90s, the Buccaneers one, and every Bears fan gets a little mad when I wear it in this area, being in Chicago. So, hey, that's on them. Sorry, Bears fans. No, I'm just kidding. Love you guys too. But regardless, it's a long rivalry that's kind of getting heated up little by little again, and it's a lot of fun, J-Lo and Kindle Vildor, whether he's watching or not. Jason, we have plenty of those guys here in Tampa too. This pod, Zach specifically, but me specifically, J-Lo, we've all been advocates of keeping Jamel Dean here, especially after we saw the market and what a lot of guys were making. And a lot of Bucs fans wanted him gone, and we kind of said, hold your horse a little bit when he's out there. He's been great, and Zach was a ringleader behind that, certainly. But J-Lo, Kendall Vildor has been incredible in a couple of games here with Tampa thus far.
Oh yeah, I mean, experience alone. I mean, he has experience. You know, starting that corner. He started a few times in Detroit, I believe, from what I heard. You know, so he brings that experience. You know, we were down on so many corners last year, we were getting abused. But now we got a veteran like Vildor here who is helping us out. You know, at least not bending but not breaking. You know, and that interception was huge. But I agree with Zach. I wish he would have got up and took it in the end zone. But we'll take the pick because, we lapped the interceptions last year, and he helped contribute to that. And he actually got an interception in the preseason game, too. I remember that one against Pittsburgh. So, and that's what we're looking for. Looking for people who's going to take the ball away for us to get more points. And that's where we're so different on defense this year. And then the Jamel Dean, he's playing great. I mean, when healthy, he's been on point as well. Playing like his usual self, taking down their number one corner, keeping them away from the deep ball. So, like I said, we got a different football team this year. Vildor is a big contributor to it, and I'm glad he's on our team. I'm glad we have him.
Yeah, Bucs Nation says nicest person ever. Hope he stays. About Jamel Dean. Zach, quick thoughts. A lot of Jamel Dean haters. I won't name names on Bucs Twitter, but it was a lot of loud mouths on Bucs Twitter that were calling for his departure, calling him gone. I remember one individual kept saying over and over again, send him to the moon, send him to the moon, send him to the moon. Well, Zach, good thing that we stuck our foot in the ground and did not send him to the moon.
Yeah, I don't understand why people on Twitter just think that they're a better football minds than the GMs of your teams and the scouts of your teams and the coaches of your teams that know the caliber of player that we have. I mean, Jamel Dean didn't give up a touchdown last year. That's a difficult task. Already the defensive player is in the hardest position, right? Because they don't know exactly where the offensive player is going. So it's not like he, you can't go off Twitter, man. It's infuriating to even try to have a discussion with anybody on Twitter about something because, are they even real? Firstly, are they just doing it for engagement? What's really the point? You can't have a spirited conversation on there, but Dean has shown the caliber of player that he is this year. Yeah, so he can't catch all of them. That's why he's on defense, right? That's the old adage, right? They play defense because they can't catch the ball. So that's just the way it is. He's came up huge for us twice this year with timely interceptions. He doesn't get beat often, and usually when he gets beat, it's not really on him. It's maybe more the coverage, but you see what the camera on the television shows you, not what the play call is or who's supposed to be there. Like he got beat earlier this year. I can't remember if it was in the Eagles game or the Texans game where it looked like he got beat, but it was on the safety for not picking up the player as he went through the zone. So people just like to, base it off of the eye test, off the and you can't go off television coverage anyway, because, half the time the camera doesn't even know where the ball is until it's too late to see what happened on the play. So, but I love Jamel Dean. You guys know I'm a big Jamel Dean advocate. I have 5 game-worn jerseys. I'm trying to corner the market on Jamel Dean. So if anybody has any, DM me.
Yeah, they grow on trees, so I'll go pick one up after this and let you know. No, I'm kidding. Very rare to get. But June 3rd, 9:39 a.m., I did tweet the Dean contract that was once looked at as a high payday looks like great value after the dust settled from the 2025 free agency DB class. I'm glad Jamel Dean is a Buck. Dude is legit when healthy. I just want to put it out there that I did have his back as well as Zach. I know J-Lo did as well. And Jason, you have a question here from the great Richard T, a great listeners of ours, and resurfacing that trade. How do you Detroit people feel now, years later? Stafford got his ring, but the Lions have gotten their sustained success. So, how do you feel about this trade?
I think it's about as close of a win-win trade that you could ever imagine. The Lions wouldn't be where they're at without trading Stafford away, getting those draft picks, which we turn into, Gibbs, Laporta, depending on how we had other trades, but we got Jameson Williams involved with those picks too. That would have never happened. I was happy. I liked Stafford when he was here. I was happy that he got his ring. They won the Super Bowl. If the Rams don't win that Super Bowl, then the Lions win this trade by a landslide, in my opinion. But they got the ultimate prize. So until we get our Super Bowl, which I'm hoping is, somewhere in this window here, then it'll swing back maybe the Lions way. But I did not want to see Stafford gone. I did not trust Goff when he first came here. I thought he's going to be the bridge quarterback. I'm fully invested in Goff now, and it's not a bandwagon type thing. He's a different quarterback now than when he then left the Rams. And a lot of that is Dan Campbell, and a lot of that is just experience and him becoming a better quarterback, and then Dan Campbell bringing the best out of Goff. Whereas I fully believe that McVay tore him down and did build him back up. And, McVay may be a very good coach, but for whatever reason, he didn't get the best out of Goff. And Dan Campbell is getting the best out of Goff. Yes, Goff has his limitations as far as mobility and all that stuff, but a lot of the best plays about Goff you don't even know because he's changing so many plays at the line, changing coverages. The average fan doesn't really know that, so you could miss a lot of that of his game if you're just looking at numbers or watching him play on the field.
And everybody forgets he did go to a Super Bowl with the Rams as well. It's not like he's never had that history. And I definitely agree it is a win-win now. Probably agree slightly right now. Give it to the Rams since they do have the ring from it. But it's one of those things where if the Lions were to get a ring, I would say the Lions win that trade then, because not only do you have the Super Bowl out of it, you have the sustained success that wasn't familiar with Detroit before you brought in Goff and co. So I think it's a great win-win. And I think if the Lions win a ring, they ultimately win. Look at this nice Lions fan calling us names, it looks like. But that's okay. The pink jerseys and stuff. Hey, they're not pink. They're creamsicle. Get it right if you're going to come at the jerseys, first of all. They're not pink.
That's not even on the same color palette, pink and orange or red. Or are you going for red? I don't know what you're going for there.
Yeah, well, hey, awesome. You have a great night. We'll keep it classy here. You have a great night, buddy. Carry on. Not happening this year, B-Shuck says. So there we go. Our guy B-Shuck in the house. Great to see our great guy B-Shuck towing the line as usual. His thoughts on the Sunday night game. Jason, I know you hit on it earlier, but just one of those games that happens, and between the refs and Kansas City being Kansas City, things kind of get out of control, and it is what it is.
The game flipped. We talked about Amon-Ra being steady, but he dropped that fourth down pass, and that was right before the half. Chiefs go down and score. We could have potentially went down and scored. There's potentially a 14-point swing in that game. That was, to me, the turning point in that game, and that was self-inflicted. That wasn't the ref calling that. That wasn't anything like that. The Lions could have won taking care of that. I don't, like we said earlier, we could complain about the rest with the Chiefs all day. Ultimately, the Lions didn't do enough to win that game.
And that's ultimately what it is. I mean, the Zebras have been terrible this year. You watch any football game, college or pros, and it's like, what is going on? I was at the Notre Dame NC State game last Saturday, and literally the refs, that they were calling catches, non-catches, and non-catches catches, and it's like, football 101 here. It's just really sad, it seems like. But what's not sad is this rivalry brewing between the Lions and Bucs, seemingly an old rivalry renewed. We're live here on the Buccateers tonight on a Tune Me Up Tuesday. We're actually back tomorrow live with the dive into the 813. Cats and I doing our Tampa sports history programming at 5 Central, 6 Eastern time. We're giving you guys our top 5 Ring of Honor candidates and our opinions for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we'll be back Saturday on a Saturday Showdown. Tonight drops Campus Kickoff with J-Lo. Thursday, Toe in the Line with Joey. And then Talking Grit, I'll be on there with Jason and Co. Jason, what do you guys got coming up, and what have you done of late with the Talking Grit pod? What's your schedule looking like, brother?
Yeah, so we release 2 times a week on we've been doing it live on YouTube. We'll do what we call biting recaps, like the biting kneecaps. It's our biting recaps. Actually came from a listener. Love the name on that. So we do that live on Monday night on YouTube. We just started going live earlier this summer. I think last year when you were on Tampa, we were audio only. We've decided to step up with you big boys here and get on YouTube and do that kind of stuff. So that's fun. I am planning. I started writing it today. Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff, like a kind of a little history. And then I'm going to go into their head-to-head matchups, and then also just like what they've done this year leading up into this game and what they could expect. That'll be on YouTube. I'm hoping to release that maybe Thursday or Friday this week. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to check that out. I'll give the link to Tampa. You can throw that out there because I think the Bucs fans will like that. It'll be respectful on both ends because I love Baker Mayfield. And like I said earlier, Goff and Baker have a lot. They both started college as true freshmen quarterbacks. I mean, just like so many things that they've done. They quarterbacked the Lions and the Browns, 2 downtrodden teams, brought them to playoff victories. I mean, just like really cool parallels between the 2 quarterbacks. And, and now to like you said, they have this rivalry brewing between these 2 great football teams. And hopefully it's something that we keep meeting each year, and maybe we'll get you twice. Maybe we'll get you twice this year.
Yeah, that would be fun. Like the old days when we were in the same division, right? But it is amazing what both of these guys have done at multiple stops now for multiple franchises that were kind of at the lower end of the barrel for the longest time. The Bucs, obviously Brady came, but Baker sustained that success now. That's not easy to do, filling in his footsteps. He brought Cleveland out of irrelevancy over there, and then Goff helped bring the Rams. That's not easy. You're moving cities. You want to be relevant. Goff helps the Rams stay relevant, then goes to a place like Detroit. And, well, all we could say is God bless the Jets. They're kind of just in purgatory. But they got Aaron Glenn now, too. So maybe another Detroit disciple will help pull the Jets out of the basement. But Goff and Mayfield are out here saving franchises. Seemingly, Richard T says Barry Sanders is my favorite player who's not a Buck. And my fiance, she's actually a Packer fan, but her favorite player who wasn't Gronk or a Packer is Calvin Johnson Jr. So I actually bought her a Calvin Johnson Hall of Fame towel the year he made the Hall of Fame. I bought her one of those, and she's like, man, even though I'm a Packer fan, I do love this. I'm like, well, yeah, it's Calvin Johnson. So there you go. But it is possible, Zach, to have favorite players out there, who don't always wear your team's uniform.
It is, and it's game respecting game, right? I mean, every team's got warriors on it, so it's easy to find guys you like. Goff's one of those guys, man. He was discarded from a franchise and basically told he wasn't good enough, and that's why when the Rams and the Lions played and the Lions beat him, and you have that moment in the locker room where Campbell gives the ball to Goff and he says, "You're good enough for Detroit." How can you not root for that and get the chicken skin from that particular moment? But I do have a favor to ask of our friend Jason here. Since you're coming to us live from Ford Field, you have those connects. Yeah. What I'm going to need you to do is talk to the highlight guys and get them to stop showing all the Barry Sanders highlights against the Bucs. Why are 90% of them against the Bucs? Can you do us a favor and get rid of those things, man?
I am not doing that because one of my favorite jukes ever is John Lynch getting just juked out of his mind. Oh God, that was when we were playing twice a year, and Barry always seemed to have a great game against your Bucs at that time. And you guys wore the creamsicles. I love seeing those jerseys.
Yeah, we are wearing variations of him 3 times this year. 2 of those games already happened, the Jets and Seattle, but we are wearing the actual creamsicles Thursday night against Atlanta. Speak of the devil, I talk about the fiance. Boom, Olive pops in. Hey, hey, fellas. We were just talking about your Kelvin Johnson fandom, and she's also a big fan of the Talk Grit podcast. She's always like, "When are you collabing with those Detroit guys again?" I go, "Well, when we play them, it's I love it on weekly, but these guys are busy. We're busy. We could have a Tampa Detroit collab nightly if we really wanted, but
Heck
you
yeah.
know, time gets a hold of you." And J-Lo, quick thoughts on just all this talk we've been having in general, brother.
Well, I will say Barry Sanders, he was one of my favorite players as well, non-Buck, except when we played him. Because not only he didn't juke freaking John Lynch, he made Derek Brooks look silly too, juking him out of his shoes too. And I'm like, oh God, man, when's this gonna end? You know, as a Bucs fan. But for the most part, I will say, you know, I'm all about, you know, sportsmanship of other players of the game. You got someone that are not so great, but for the most part, you know, I got a lot of respect for Dan Campbell. He's a great coach. You know, if it's not the Bucs, I always will root for him to go out there and win a Super Bowl because he's just got that great mentality, great motivator. You know, how can you not love that man? So I will say that as far as like favorite non-coach player, Dan Campbell is just a great coach, man. Shout out to him.
The great Richard T. Speaking of great, saying hi, future Mrs. Tones. What a guy. Our guy, Richard, always joining the Buccateers, it seems like. And again, you could catch Jason Jacob, the Buccateer. We're going to be collabing multiple more times next Monday. Zach and myself will be stepping into the battlefield, not forward field, we wish, but we do have to delete some tapes, as Zach discussed. But we'll be stepping into the battlefield with Jason and Jacob, and then we'll be crossing over with the Talking Grit guys, and that show will be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get on. One of my favorite times of the year is when I'm able to hop on their show. Jason and Jacob do a great job over there. Speaking of great job, this game will be great. This pod's been great. A lot of fun. Couple of things left here before we wrap up and get out of here. But as we know, fellas, Monday Night Football, NFL in general is evolving. I mean, my Lord, it won't be long before every team has a game out of the country, right? Roger Goodell's pretty much saying he wants it weekly. And what else are we going to probably get weekly eventually? Double Monday Night Football doubleheaders, right? It seems like it's becoming more and more relevant. It used to just be week 1 was 2 Monday Night Football games. Then it was a couple times a year was 2 Monday Night Football games. Now it's up to, I believe, 4 to 5 times this year we get 2 Monday Night Football games. So anywhere that the NFL could find a quarter, it will definitely make its quarter. And I don't hate these Monday Night Football doubleheaders. At first, I was kind of like, I'm not the biggest of fan. Primetime game, have it stand alone. But when you think about it, noon or 1 o'clock Eastern, whatever time slot you're in, noon Central for me, 1 o'clock on the East Coast. But that's always so filled, and you always get like one irrelevant game where it's like, okay, you could throw this on a Monday night doubleheader. Sure, maybe it could be fun or something. But Jayla, we'll start with you here. Thoughts on the Monday Night Football doubleheaders? Do you like them or not? And if you do like them, what format do you like better, the 7 and 8 Eastern or the 7 and 10 Eastern split?
I will say I do like both Monday night game, 2 Monday night games. I think it's pretty interesting. I do kind of wish you kind of spread it instead of an hour apart, kind of do the 7 to 10. That way you can enjoy most of the first game, and then if it gets boring or a blowout, then you move on to the next game if you want to. But we have multiple TVs in our household, so we watch both anyway. But I wish they were separated. You know, the 7 to 10 slot I think would be a good way of doing 2 Monday night football games. That way you can enjoy one game, and then you can turn on the other game right when the other team's at halftime or something.
Yeah, Richard says there was years it was only Thursday night football for our Bucs, and that's very true. The Doug Martin days, the Greg Schiano, Lovie Smith type days, and that was when every team had to get a Thursday night game. Remember those rules? So that's when it was their only primetime game. But Zach, thoughts on the ever-growing, as Bucs Nation says, Monday night doubleheader? Do you like it? Do you like that both of our Monday night games this year were doubleheaders?
I'm probably going to be in the minority here. I do like the 2 games because what's better than one football game? It's 2 football games. but I'm old now, so if they could move the first one to like a 5 o'clock start time, and then I might be able to catch the end of the second game because my bedtime is early, so I have a hard time making the end of that second game. So I like them both, but I'd like to see them end a little bit earlier. It's a school night, fellas.
It is, and well, we do have conflicting opinions. Buck Nation says, imagine being on the West Coast, while our guy Richard saying, hey, I am on the West Coast, 4:30 or 4 p.m. here. I get off work at 3:30, so you're really rushing home. I know I got in-laws on the West Coast, and I'm actually going to be experiencing an NFL Sunday out there for the first time as they're getting married in a couple weekends. So I'll be doing the Saturday show at like 7 a.m. out there. Going to be crazy, going to be early, but ready to rock and roll. The Bucs will be playing at 1:05 Pacific time. I'll be out there when they play the Saints. What a weird start time, but just crazy stuff. Remember COVID? It felt crazy because you had games on like Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, and I was rushing home from work at that time just to catch the damn game. But that's what the NFL is going to be like soon. But speaking of games every night, we have 3 college football games tonight. We're just getting football, and more football. We have 49 straight nights of football out there, ladies and gentlemen. So enjoy it, college fans, NFL fans. This is the best time of the year. Jason, do you like the doubleheader split? Bucs have been on it twice this year, the doubleheaders. So
not a huge fan, to be honest with you. I would rather have one Monday night, make that a special game. Like that's the marquee game. I mean, it's really turned into Sunday night football. Growing up, for me, I'm 45. So growing up, Monday night football was always the marquee game. It seems like it switched to Sunday night football, got all the marquee matchups. And then for a while, and when they were, juggling all their broadcast teams over at ESPN, they were getting like all these divisional matchups, and it was kind of an afterthought. This Bucs Lions game is like an amazing game for them to get on Monday night. This should be the marquee game. It should be the only night America should be just watching that one game. So for me, I like watching Red Zone if my team's not playing. So I'd rather be another 4 o'clock game, because Red Zone at 4 o'clock, if you got 3 dud games, that makes it, I'd rather have 4 games during that time slot. But that's just me. I know it's contrarian to what you guys saying, but I'd rather, this game deserves to be the only game on TV on Monday night.
And that's fair as well, right? I definitely get that. And that's kind of where I was at up until this year. I'm like, you know what? Monday's a standalone game, but now it's like, well, 2 games. Well, I could go either way, but more football is more football. Love it regardless. The games are getting played regardless. Just ironic that both Bucs Monday night games happen to be doubleheaders this year, right? I think Bucs Houston and Bucs Lions, both of them probably deserved stand-alone slots. So I do think that's a good point made by Talking Grit, our guy Jason. Bucs 78, fire the damn cannons, go Bucs, yes sir. B-Shuck saying 5 p.m. Hell no. Battle of the UNCs, his NFL Twitter account says, on Thursday night. So crazy stuff there. Before we get the final words and our walk-off, Jason, I do want to ask you this. What's kind of the buzz in Detroit about this Tampa Bay team? What are you guys saying, the media is saying, the fans saying of the Lions about this 5-1 Buccaneer team that leads the NFC South?
We're ready for it. It's going to be a great matchup. Ford Field is going to be lit on Monday night. They have not announced our jerseys yet, but I get ready for the black jerseys, fellas, and the team gets fired up when we wear those. The stadium's going to be popping. People around here respect the heck out of Baker Mayfield, if I haven't made that clear yet, and they know what he could do. That run he had last week where he's like behind the sticks, and then the run I'm talking about. That's why we love Baker Mayfield, and that's why I respect the heck out of him. I mean, Goff could never do anything like that, so I'm really jealous of you guys having that ability. But we're ready for it. Like I said, really well coached teams. We know it's going to be great football. We're going to get quality football Monday night, and whoever comes out on top is, definitely going to be the head of the NFC for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I do think it's a battle of the behemoths. The 2 best in the NFC is a great B-Shuck donates $20 generously to the show. We very much so appreciate that, B-Shuck. He says, I'd prefer just one Monday night football game. Let me play our little noise or applause for the super chat here. very much, B-Shuck. But Zach, once again, B-Shuck's a man. But I do, you disagree with what he's saying. But, we'll take it.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Brian, you ain't got no damn job, so I know you ain't got nothing to do at 5 o'clock. All right, you could be watching football on a Monday. All right. No, Brian's retired. Brian's retired. Yeah, I mean, I'm jealous of those black jerseys. I love that blackout look that Detroit does. I'm a bit of a jersey aficionado, if you can't tell. I wish we had something better than just our whites to combat that with. But unfortunately, that we will be wearing white. Maybe if we're lucky, they'll pull out the pewter pants, and we'll have that look to combat the blackout. But hopefully we get Mike back, and I'd like to see if we don't have a sack hangover and we can get a good pass rush. I think that'll benefit our chances. We're always pretty stout against the run, but Detroit's run on offense is pretty heavy-handed. So. It's gonna be an interesting matchup. It could be one of those games where it comes down to who's got the ball last. I don't know that there was going to be a whole lot of defense played in this game. I mean, we gave up 360-ish yards to Mac Jones. Was it somewhere like it was atrocious? So I have a feeling that Goff's going to put up astronomical numbers. But if Baker gets the ball with 30 seconds left, and we're down, we're down 2 or down 6. I don't like your chances.
Baker Goff, this will be magical. And J-Lo, before your final word, thoughts on B-Shuck's super chat? Too generous. A great Richard T says rename those double headers from prime time to secondary times. That's funny, but B-Shuck being too good of a guy, J-Lo, as always.
No, as always, indeed. B-Shuck's been just contributing, being there, supportive of the show. We always appreciate B-Shuck. Thank you very much. But I will jump to where, Jared Goff, getting pressure on him. If you give the man all day, he's going to pick you apart. He's going to pick apart the defense. That's why it's important for the Bucs to get their pass rush going. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. You cannot give a guy like Jared Goff all day. If not, he'll pick you apart or dump it off to Jahir Gibbs. Gibbs is just a stud, man. That's going to be another intriguing matchup I'll be looking forward to talk about on Saturday Showdown.
I agree. Saturday we'll be back. We got Monday's show. We got us going into enemy territory and talking grit. We got a loaded Bucs Lions week to be had. Buccateers talking grit, a Detroit Lions podcast collabing. I love these weeks. J-Lo, final words for the program as we go around the horn. Bucs Nation says, thank you guys. Good episode tonight. Nice meeting you, J-Lo. Go Bucs.
No, nice meeting you too, man. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully we'll get together soon, man. Talk Buc football, man. I'll be all for it. But tune into the campus kickoff, which will be dropped tonight. Show your boys some love.
In minutes. Let's add in minutes.
But in minutes, thank you, Tone. I stand corrected. In minutes, tune into the campus kickoff. Boy breaks down some good college football games, and I'll be ripping Billy Napier's butt. Can't wait till he gets out of Florida, which will be another discussion. But yeah, thank you for coming on, Jason. Always great talking with you, man. Looking forward to checking out your show when you have Tones on.
Yeah, and maybe Florida gets James Franklin if you get rid of Billy Napier. We'll see there.
No.
Oh, well, okay,
no,
okay.
No.
Well,
give me Lane Kiffin.
Well,
that's what I want.
Hey,
I want the big mouth.
Well, what if I want him in Penn State? Well, we'll talk about that on Saturday.
Exactly.
That could be a whole can of worms over there. But Zach, final words for the show, brother. Always fun with you, my man. Always a good time.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, Jason. Appreciate it. Looking forward to chopping it up again on Monday before the Lions game. Talking a little bit memorabilia as well. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Strap up because it's going to be a hell of a ride.
Yeah, the great Barb is joining us on Facebook as well. We appreciate everybody tuned in on Facebook Live. But Jason, you were awesome, incredible as always, brother. Really looking forward to your guys' show. Looking forward to having you and Jacob back Monday. Once again, your guys' Spotify and Twitter is linked in this live video right now. So everybody watching who enjoyed this convo, go ahead and give Talking Grit your subscription on Twitter and or Spotify. But Jason, final word for the program, brother, and let's give one last plug to your podcast.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on. When I saw this matchup, I knew we were going to play each other, and I saw it was Monday night. I was like, okay, I got this week all set. and I was happy to be on with you fellas. You guys are great. It was nice meeting you, Zach.
as well.
Great performance today, and I'm still super jealous of that background. Just, I want to be you when I grow up. But I cannot wait to have you back on Tampa tomorrow. We'll be doing the interview that'll release Friday morning, and then we'll be on right before the matchup. My nerves will be going. I don't know about you, but I can't eat right before a game like that. I just my nerves are just too high. It's a good feeling, but it's that feeling, and this is going to be to the 10th magnitude. Well, hopefully the injury report is kind to both of us fellas, and go Lions.
Yeah, Jason, I'm with you. When, everyone's always making wings and stuff before games. I'm like, I can't eat before. I'm like, after the game, I'll pig out, I'll max out when my nerves are a little settled or whatnot. But I can't really eat during the game, and it's going to be a great game. I'm nervous for this one. It's going to be a fun one, though. Looking forward to the Friday interview that we're doing tomorrow. Looking forward to having you guys back on Monday as well. Just great time when we could collab. Again, one of my favorite non-Bucs podcasts, if not my favorite out there, Talking Grit podcast, a Detroit Lions special. Always a great time. Elgato 813. Sorry, Jason, it's go Bucs. Hey, at least you're being nice about it, saying sorry. But fellas, regardless, wherever you can catch us, Bucs by 30, J-Lo, Jason from Talking Grit, Tampa Tones here. In behalf of the rest of the Buccateers that couldn't make it tonight, they give you your appreciation as well. But as always, fire the damn cannons, go Bucs. Bucs Lions week going to be incredible. Jason, J-Lo, Zach, have a great night. Everybody stay safe. Jason, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, man.
Let's do it. Bro, we'll put it like that. What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
How was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, I didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCann, still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make it do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers of wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go.